Tony Lyons is the director at the MAHA Action. We're talking about states passing MAHA bills. Texas is first. Tony, welcome to the show.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Yeah, thanks for being here. So explain what we're talking about here. What's the MAHA? Make America Healthy Again?
Yes. I mean, the idea is that health doesn't result from taking pharmaceutical products. It doesn't come from eating all the foods that were given by the big corporations who are prioritizing profits over health. It doesn't come from pesticides. It comes from good, clean food, clean air, clean water, exercise, the absence of toxic exposures in food, drugs, pesticides, vaccines. All these things have been delivery mechanisms for toxins. And the government agencies have conspired with these companies to hurt the American public. And what's happening now is that all around the country, that's beginning to change.
So do you think it's intentional, or was it just cheaper and they didn't know the consequences?
I think they didn't care about the consequences. What they cared about was making as much money for their big pharma, big ag, big food partners. These people were essentially bribing politicians, coordinating with government agencies at the expense of the American public.
Okay. And so Make America Healthy Again. Now, I completely disagree about vaccinations with RFK Jr. Completely disagree, except for the ones I don't want in my body that are optional. But like measles, mumps, rubella, polio, all of that, I don't want those things to come back. So we're not talking about that. But the Make America Healthy Again movement is taking aim at additives and sugary foods and stuff like that, right?
Yeah, that's definitely true. So the idea is that, the sort of the construct that you're anti-food, you're anti-vaccine, you're anti-big pharma, you're anti-agriculture, or even pesticides, none of those things are the real issues. Even the word anti-vaccine, it comes from the companies that make these products. So they want to make it. So take, for example, the polio vaccine. In the United States now, there's 6 polio vaccines. 5 of them have been well tested. There's no material difference between the 6 of them. 5 of them well tested, and 1 of them hasn't been well tested. So the current situation we have is that these companies have so much power that you can't even say to the public, that a public interest group couldn't say, hey, look, there are 5 perfectly good options. Don't take the 6th polio vaccine, because that one is a bad product and doesn't give you anything extra that you couldn't just get from the other 5. So that's what the issue really is. People think that it's about being pro-vaccine or anti-vaccine. It has nothing to do with that. The same is true with the flu vaccine. There have been multiple options, and there's one option that is a worse option. And that was the one Bobby Kennedy kept going after, which is the multi-dose flu vaccine that continues to have mercury in it. No parent, nobody. I would never take something that had mercury in it. So that's the point. It's really not about being anti-vaccine. That's just the big pharmaceutical companies trying to convince you.
I keep telling my mom she tried to kill me with mercurochrome my entire life. Every time I had a boo-boo, right. I was like, what are you doing, Mom? Trying to kill me? There are pharmaceutical industries who will fight back on everything you just said. But what I'm more worried about, we can do our own research on that, or if not, I mean, we either get the shot or we don't. It's up to us. We have that religious freedom to not take the shot if we don't. But I want my kids vaccinated before they go to school, because the unvaccinated kids could bring something to school that could turn into an outbreak, and we don't want that either. But when it comes to red Skittles or Fruit Loops or something like that, is it really that big of a deal to have a red Skittle?
This is the point, that many of these products have toxic food dyes in them. And when you eat those, when you put those toxic food dyes in your kids' bodies, what you often get, and there have been hundreds of studies showing this, you can get hyperactivity, you can get ADHD, ADD. Yeah. So the question is, why would you want that? Why do you need that? If it isn't healthy, then, and the dye doesn't even give a taste. So why would any parent want that? What's the benefit from it? So the reason that it's there is that it's cheaper for the manufacturer and that it looks good for the child because they're trying to get children addicted to things that are unhealthy for them.
I don't know why you keep saying kids. I eat more Skittles than the kids do. I'm not,
okay.
I'm slamming the Skittles.
My advice is also this, is that it's about toxic load. So you want to stay away from as much toxic food, drugs, pesticides as you possibly can.
Well, it used to be wieners, hot dogs. I mean, they went after that, and then it was licorice, and then it was it was M&Ms, and now it's Skittles and Fruit Loops. I mean, is this red dye somehow going to kill us all? And I mean, I know you said hyperactivity, but I mean, the candy's made out of sugar. They're going to get hyper. So, is this really the hill we want to die on?
So the hill that we want to die on is to lower the toxic load that all of us have so that we have clearer minds, healthier bodies, we live longer lives. That's what this is all really based on. And it's not an absolute thing. It's just trying to do better in as many areas as we can.
Yeah. Well, I really want the government to stay out of my life as much as possible, but if they can still make a red Skittle that tastes exactly the same and sort of looks red with some other process, I don't even care. Just make sure I have a red Skittle.
So I'm all for the government staying out of all of our business too. But the problem that's happened now is that the government has gotten on the side of encouraging companies to do these things, of partnering with these companies that are delivering toxins. So they're not doing their jobs. So, and then what they're doing in area after area is they're actually taking on the liability so that taxpayers have to pay if, for example, a pesticide causes cancer. So I'm all for personal choice, but if people get harmed from a private company that's making billions of dollars, they should be allowed to sue that company. And the government is setting up rules now in various areas, and it's beginning to happen with pesticides, and it already happened with vaccines. People should have the right to be compensated when they're injured by a product made by a big company that's making billions of dollars.
Well, and bottom line is, if you're going to be on Medicaid and I have to pay for your medicine, then you should probably try to eat better because,
Definitely.
I'm paying for it.
Right. People often say, well, Medicaid doesn't have a ton of money and they have to cut costs so they can't feed people healthy food. But if you think about that, taxpayers are on the hook for those people for the rest of those people's lives. So we should all want people on Medicare and Medicaid to be healthy. Because if if you skimp in the short run and feed people toxic food, then they're obviously going to get chronic disease, they're going to get cancer, and then taxpayers are on the hook for that.
Yeah. And dang it, I want even the poor people who are on food stamps and Medicaid to be able to get Skittles for their kids. I don't care what anybody says. Well, I'm out of time. I love your books from Skyhorse Publishing. I have them sent to me all the time. I have many authors on the air, but MAHA Action is where you can go to find out more about this. MAHA Action Inc. And it's a grassroots movement that's mobilizing people to try to stop the chronic disease crisis we have going on here in the U.S. The director is Tony Lyons, who's been the guest this morning. Thank you, Tony.
Thanks so much.
Bye-bye.